on perfect wisdom, with the divisions of the Abhishamailamkara. Translated by Edward Conze. University of California Press, Berkeley, Los Angeles, London. Translation of the Sutra. Chapter 26 Gains. 4. Cognition of Dharma in Stopping. Sakra. It is wonderful, O Lord, to what an extent the bodhisattvas, the great beings, who take up this perfection of wisdom, and bear it in mind, acquire good qualities, mature beings, purify the Buddha field, and pass on from Buddha field to Buddha field. When they honor the Buddhas, the Lords, the wholesome roots by which they desire to honor, revere, and worship the Buddhas, the Lords, these wholesome roots flourish. And the Dharma which they hear from the Buddhas, the Lords, that they never again forget, until they have known full enlightenment. And they gain the accomplishment of wholesomeness, and that of the retinue, the marks, the halo, the eye, the voice, the concentration, the dharanis. Having through skill in means conjured up for themselves a Buddha frame, they pass on from Buddha field to Buddha field. Where there is no production of manifestation of the Buddhas, the Lords, there they preach in praise of the perfection of giving, perfection of wisdom, of the 18 kinds of emptiness, of the 4 trances, the 18 special Buddha dharmas. And through skill in means they demonstrate dharma to beings. They discipline beings in the 3 vehicles, the disciple vehicle, the pratyeka Buddha vehicle, the Buddha vehicle. 4. Acceptance of subsequent cognition in stopping. Thereupon, again, Sakra said to the Lord, it is wonderful how, where this deep perfection of wisdom is taken up, gained, all the 6 perfections have been gained. So with the pillars of mindfulness, the 18 special Buddha dharmas, the fruit of a streamwinner, arhatship, the knowledge of all modes. The Lord. So it is, Kausika, so it is. Where the perfection of wisdom has been gained, there all the 6 perfections are gained. 2. The knowledge of all modes. And again, Kausika, as to the qualities which a son or daughter of good family acquire in this very life, when they take up the perfection of wisdom, bear it in mind, preach, study, and copy, and wisely attend to it, listen well to them, with well-placed attention, I will teach them to you. So be it, Lord, replied Sakra, chief of gods, to the Lord. The Lord. If any son or daughter of good family who is not a Buddhist, if Mara, or the deities of Mara's host, if a conceited person wants to dissuade the bodhisattva, the great being, from this perfection of wisdom, wants to contend against it, to quarrel with it, to contradict it, their quarrels, contentions and contradictions that may have been produced, will quickly simply vanish again. Their intentions will not be fulfilled. And why? For there the bodhisattva, the great being, has coursed for a long time in the perfection of giving, perfection of wisdom. Having forsaken in every way all the inner and outer dharmas through which beings for a long time undertake quarrels, contentions, and disputes, he has established those beings in the perfection of giving. Having forsaken the inner and outer dharmas through which beings for a long time undertake immorality, the bodhisattva, the great being, establishes those beings in morality. Having forsaken those inner and outer dharmas through which beings for a long time are driven to wrath, ill will and doing harm, the bodhisattva establishes those beings in patience. Sloth, the perfection of vigor. Distracted thought, trance. Stupidity, in the great wisdom. That through which beings for a long time wander about in samsara. The obsession with affection and aversion. From that the bodhisattva, the great being, leads those beings away through his skill in means. And he establishes those beings in the 4 trances, the 4 unlimited, in arahatship, pratyeka Buddha enlightenment, the utmost right and perfect enlightenment. These, Kausika, will be in this very life the qualities and advantages of a bodhisattva, a great being, who goes on the pilgrimage of a bodhisattva. and in a future life he will further awake to full enlightenment. And, having turned the wheel of dharma, and having established beings in accordance with his initial vow, he will lead them into the element of nirvana which leaves nothing behind. These will be in a future life the qualities and advantages of a bodhisattva, a great being. 4. Subsequent cognition in stopping. Moreover, Kausika, the spot of earth in which the sons and daughters of good family take up this perfection of wisdom. Bear it in mind. Preach and study it, and wisely attend to it. In that spot of earth the Maras or the divinities of Mara's host, or the wanderers of other sects, or conceited persons cannot cause any disturbance of thought. When there is a quarrel, contention, or contradiction of this perfection of wisdom, they will further have other qualities and advantages. By means of listening to this perfection of wisdom they will, after they have gradually gone forth by means of the three vehicles, make an end of ill. There is, Kausika, a herb, Maggie by name. Suppose a viper, famished, desirous of food, searching for food, were to see a creature. Wanting to eat that creature, it would pursue it. But if that creature went to a patch of that herb, then the viper would be turned back by the smell of that herb. And why? Because that herb has such a healing quality that it overpowers that viper's poison. So powerful, Kausika, is that herb. Just so with any son or daughter of good family who will take up this perfection of wisdom. Those quarrels, contentions, and contradictions which may have arisen, they will, through the piercing flame of the perfection of wisdom, and through its power, quickly be destroyed and appeased. Wherever they will arise, they will quickly vanish again, they will not grow, but will be appeased. 4. Acceptance of cognition of dharma in the path. And why? Because the perfection of wisdom appeases all dharmas, and does not increase them. Which dharmas? Greed, hate, delusion, ignorance, the karma formations, the whole mass of ill. The hindrances, latent biases, the obsessions. The view of a self, the view of a being. Immorality. The notion of permanence. The seizing on the perfection of giving, the seizing on nirvana. 4. Cognition of dharma in the path. And the great kings in this great trichiliocosm. The world guardians. Sakra. Chief of gods. Sahapati up to the akanishtha gods, they will always arrange for the shelter, defense, and protection of that bodhisattva, that great being, who will take up this perfection of wisdom. And so will the Buddhas and lords who stand, hold, and maintain themselves in the 10 directions. And these sons and daughters of good family will not diminish in wholesome dharmas, and they will grow in them, the 6 perfections, and that without taking them as a basis. In the emptinesses. 4. Acceptance of subsequent cognition of the path. And he will be one of acceptable speech, of measured speech. Wrath and conceit will not overpower him. And he will not be mean, he himself will be one who abstains from taking life, and others also he establishes in abstention from taking life. And he praises the abstaining from taking life, and he praises others also who abstain from taking life, one acquiescent. He himself, not take what is not given, ad fol. 295, one acquiescent. He himself, the perfection of patience, he himself stands in the perfection of wisdom, and others also he establishes in the perfection of wisdom. He praises, he will be acquiescent, he himself enters into all concentrations, dharanis, he himself will develop the concentration of emptiness. The signless, the wishless, and others also he will establish in them, knowledge of all modes, acquiescent. 4. Subsequent cognition of the path. Moreover, Kausika, the bodhisattva, the great being, when he courses in the 6 perfections, whatever gift he gives, that he makes common to all beings and then turns it over to the Supreme. enlightenment, and that without taking anything as a basis. Whatever morality he guards, when he courses thus, there arises in the son or daughter of good family, who courses in the six perfections, this mindful recollection. If I do not give gifts, I shall be reborn in the states of woe, and there will be no maturing of beings for me, nor a purifying of the Buddha field, nor will I gain all knowledge. It occurs to him. If I do not guard morality, there will be for me a rebirth in the wide three states of woe, and not among men or gods, and neither the maturing of beings nor the purifying of the Buddha field will be done, and all knowledge will not be acquired. It occurs to him. If I do not develop patience, my faculties will go to pieces, my face will be disfigured. Nor will I acquire that perfect form by the mere sight of which, when I course on the course of a bodhisattva, beings become fixed on supreme enlightenment, nor can I mature beings through my perfect form or purify the Buddha field, and how much less will I acquire all knowledge. It occurs to him. When I become lazy and do not develop the path of a bodhisattva, and do not exert vigor, how can I fulfill the Buddha dharmas, and how can I gain all knowledge? It occurs to him. If I become one with distracted thoughts, then I cannot train in the achievement of all concentrations, nor can I mature beings, or purify the Buddha field, how much less can I gain the knowledge of all modes? It occurs to him. If I weak in wisdom and unskilled in means, having transcended the level of the disciples and pratyeka Buddhas, having matured beings and having purified the Buddha field except to fully know all knowledge, I would not fulfill the perfection of giving through meanness, the perfection of morality through immorality, the perfection of patience through ill will, the perfection of vigor through sloth, the perfection of wisdom through stupidity. And without fulfilling the six perfections I shall not go forth to the knowledge of all modes. It is thus, Kausika, that son or daughter of good family acquires qualities and advantages belonging to both this and the next life. If he takes up this perfection of wisdom and becomes not lacking in the thought of all knowledge. For what the path of development does. 5-2. The activity of being everywhere self-disciplined and humble. Sakra. It is wonderful how much this perfection of wisdom has been set up for the control and transformation of the bodhisattvas, the great beings. The Lord. How does it do so? Sakra. Here the bodhisattva, the great being, coursing in the worldly perfection of wisdom, gives gifts to the Buddhas and Lords, to the pratyeka Buddhas, and to the disciples, and it does not occur to him. I give gifts as a bodhisattva to the disciples and pratyeka Buddhas, to those who are miserable, to mendicants, and through this lack of skill in means he becomes arrogant. To a bodhisattva who guards worldly morality it occurs. I course in the perfection of morality, I fulfill the perfection of morality, and through that he becomes arrogant. To a bodhisattva who develops worldly patience it occurs. I course in the perfection of patience, I fulfill the perfection of patience, and through that he becomes arrogant. And so with a bodhisattva who exerts worldly vigor, who enters on worldly concentration, who develops worldly wisdom. To a bodhisattva who has stood in the development of the applications of mindfulness it occurs. I develop the application of mindfulness, I shall obtain the knowledge of all modes. Not coursing in these eye-making dharmas, he gives gifts, but he does not apprehend the gift, or the giver, he does not apprehend the recipient, and he does not apprehend that which he bestows. It is thus that the bodhisattva, the great being who courses in perfection wisdom, has been set up for control and for transformation. Likewise, when he develops the other 5 perfections, he does not apprehend anything. The bodhisattva, the great being who thus courses in perfection wisdom, has been set up for control and transformation. End chapter 26.